Hey y'all, from Spindle Mountain Mercantile, I am Heather. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Hey everyone, I'm Heather. This is Hamlet. I'm so glad you are here. I hope your week has been wonderful, and I hope this weekend's going to be even better. And maybe if it's not, I can help it be so, because this video is full of ideas from Iron Orchid Designs' new Christmas release for 2025. It is spectacular. Since I've become a stockist, this is their best release, but I've heard a whole bunch of other stockists say this is the best release ever. I sometimes have a hard time thinking of ideas. Not with this. I have so many ideas, and I've made enough stuff to make 3 videos already. This is my second one. And my mom is making a whole bunch of stuff too, so I'm going to go back over to her place this next week and we'll make another video for y'all. But it's crazy how easy the things have been to make too. So not only are they easy and quick, they give you a big bang for your time involved and your effort. They're beautiful. Well, you know what? I'm just going to let you watch and see for yourself. So I will chat with you at the end of the video. Project number 1. The reason I became an IOD stockist in the first place is because I love their transfers, and this Christmas release has pulled on my little heartstrings even more as far as their transfers. Well, as far as everything, but more on that in a different video. Today I'm using this sweet little bird and Christmas tree transfer I found in their book called Christmas Joy. I'm putting it in this basket I previously painted with Apothecary from Debbie's DIY, and I sealed it with Rust-Oleum matte clear in their Ultra Cover 2 times. When I do something like a basket, I usually start in the middle and work my way out, and that way my transfer doesn't get moved as I go up and down into all the crevices and the parts where the basket is higher. If you don't like things to look old or crackled, don't do this. You could do something like maybe put your transfer on a piece of wood or a piece of fabric. I've even seen people put tin in the back of baskets or on the side of baskets and put a transfer on that. But this is going to be crackled and there's no way around that. It's just the nature of putting transfers on a basket. When I was finished with the transfer application, instead of burnishing it with the plastic, I used my fingertips and just kind of dabbed it straight up and down so that it wouldn't tear more where it crosses over from a higher part to the lower part of the basket. I grabbed some fabric from my mom's quilting stash and I tore it into pretty thin strips and frayed it. Now, if you had one really long piece of fabric, you could just keep going all the way around this basket and not stop at the bottom, but I started and stopped at the bottom with each row. The problem is it's one continuous row all the way around 4 times. So right here, I stopped and pulled my fabric out and went up a row, because if you keep going all the way around, it's going to go down as you go around and there will be a gap. Hope that makes sense. So I did that 4 times, and when I got to the bottom, I just cut all of the pieces of leftover fabric so they were the same length. I actually changed that later and started on my arrangement. I put 2 red leaves on the sides, and then I took some greenery from a Christmas garland I found in the trash when I went dumpster diving, and I cut off the pieces. This was actually pretty nice for being so old. Nobody's lived in that house since the 80s, so this was really old Christmas greenery, and I got quite a bit of neat stuff. I just kept putting the pieces in until I thought it looked nice. I kind of curved the ones on the sides to go up, and then I got this big, huge flower that I just thought really was complimentary to all of it. And I put that stem right through because this is pretty heavy, and I thought if I just glued it, it might fall out. So I used some pliers to turn that wire over so nobody would get poked with it and it will stay in place. And then I used my glue gun to add glue in various places of the flower to get it in the position I wanted and the thickness I wanted. To make a couple of bows, I took 2 sides of the fabric and I made loops, and then I tied the loop around itself or around the other loop and then I pulled them tight. I did that twice, and I cut off the ribbon or the fabric shorter so that it wouldn't hang down so far, and I wanted them to be a little bit more even. So I took those leftover pieces of fabric and glued them right underneath those loops so it had even more pieces hanging down. At that auction, when I went dumpster diving, I bought a little vase that had all these little red star flowers in it. They're just dried and they're real cute. It looked good. I put a little dab of glue on the bottom and just stuck the stems randomly all over in the design. Well, I would not have done this if I knew how long it took not to sell it. I would have maybe put them in clumps and glued them all together. I sped that up so you could see, and there was still so much left over. That took a long time. I added my favorite floral, which is called ranunculus, and I did about maybe 6 blossoms of that. And then some greenery that I got at the thrift store. They got from Joann when they went out of business. That was my best thrift store find ever. Huge boxes of floral for $5 each. I did not put anything on the back of this because with the rim of the basket, I can just hang it on a little nail. And here's what it looks like hanging on my wall. Project number 2. When I went dumpster diving, I found this little deer trophy, and I figured Ken probably shot this. I was going to say that Barbie shot it because go women, but I don't think Barbie's a hunter. I know she can do all the things. She's a pilot, she's an astronaut, she's a vet, she's a teacher, she's a mommy. But I don't think Barbie is a girl who shoots a deer and hauls it out in her backpack down the mountains. I don't see that happening. The plaque had very thin laminate, and my sweet husband fixed that for me by adding wood glue between the layers, and then he taped it with Scotch tape until the glue dried. We saw a thing online that recommended using Scotch tape because it doesn't stick that great, but it sticks enough to get that laminate to stick with the glue, and when you peel it back up, you won't be peeling back the laminate again. It worked a lot better than the times when we have used painter's tape, so my sweet husband said we'll be doing that again. I'm using a wreath from the Christmas book called Partridge Lane, which I really thought would be my favorite, but I found a new favorite. I'll show you that in a different project. I just cut that bow off for 2 reasons. Number 1, that's how I'm going to get the wreath around this deer's neck, and the bow was hanging down from the top of the wreath, and I want it to be hanging down from the bottom of the wreath, so it needs to be turned upside down. I should have cut this a little bit more because some of the wreath went up on the sides of the deer's neck, but it really wasn't a big deal. I just scraped that off later with my scissors, just being careful to not scratch the paint. I like how that gold metallic spray paint looks after I got it done, but when I first started putting it on, I thought, that's not at all what I want. I was thinking something shiny, like how Rub and Buff gold leaf looks when you put it on. And I thought, well, let's just go and see what happens. So I thought to liven it up, I would add the Rub and Buff. And I used 2 colors for this. I used their gold leaf and the antique gold. I put the gold leaf on first. I put it on his antlers, just inside of his ears, a tiny bit on his eyes. I dabbed it over his nose, and then I put it where the deer head or the deer neck meets the wood, and then I put it all the way around the sides of the plaque itself. Then I took the antique gold and I just added it to like the very front of his nose and kind of I just brushed it softly so that it blended with the rest of the gold as it went out. And I did the same thing inside of his ears. I thought about hanging some little tiny lights from his antlers, but I couldn't find any, so I tried pip beads, and those didn't look right. Then I thought, let's see what some greenery looks like. So I wrapped it around different parts of his antlers and decided just to put it all along the bottom. And I thought that looked really good, which is kind of weird because I'm a more is more kind of girl, and I liked just that one piece of greenery. Now, if you look down at the wreath, you can see there's some red berries. That's because I added some more greenery. There was a lot of white in that wreath, and it just didn't look right with the whole deer head. And at this point, I decided I did like more, and I wanted to add an actual wreath around his neck. I added a little red bow too, and I really like how it turned out. Now, I probably could do this without using transfers at all, and it would still really look good. But I think I would still do it the same way with just some greenery sticking out because I thought I don't know, it maybe made it look more finished. I thought it looked great hanging on my wall. Here's what he looks like finished. In the comments, tell me what you think I should have done. Project number 3, I'm using my very well used can of crinoline from Debbie's Design Diary to paint these letters my mama found at Hobby Lobby that spell joy. I put one coat all over and then I let it dry and I added a second coat. And in between, I did spritz it with water so I would have fewer brush strokes. I painted the sides as well, and then when I was finished, I went back and painted the back because I thought this would be a shelf sitter, and I didn't want somebody to have it against the wall so they couldn't see the ugly back, and I'm really glad I did that. It just made it look more finished. This transfer caught me by surprise. It is my favorite. I love it. I'm going to go get more from my shop. It's called Clementine, and it's full of bouquets and different designs with florals and fruit. I figured out where I wanted it on this star, and then I flipped it over and did an outline and then cut that. I'll show you better when I do the J. I just forgot to film that part. But I didn't really care if pieces of the fruit were hanging off the side. That didn't matter. I went back to Christmas Joy and I cut out a part that says Christmas Joy. Some people say it says Christmas Joys, but I don't know if that's just a Y with a fancy tail or if that's an actual S. What do you guys think? Remember, I just told you that I didn't care if the fruit hung over the side and got cut off, but I changed my mind with the J. I kept moving around this piece to see how I liked it, And I couldn't stop thinking I wanted that tangerine on the, oh, some people might think it's an orange. I think it's a tangerine because Santa always put tangerines in the bottom of our stockings. So weird, because my parents also bought tangerines at the same time of year. It was so cool that they knew exactly what Santa knew. Anyway, I held that very firmly exactly where I wanted it, turned everything over and outlined it, and then I cut out the outline just a little bit outside of the mark so that it wouldn't be too small. I applied it just like any other transfer. I gave it a good rub with my hands, and I guess not like any other transfer because I couldn't find my transfer stick. So I just used the scissors and I rubbed the entire thing, and then I started pulling back the plastic and continued rubbing where it's pulling away from my J. And if any of it doesn't stick, you just lay it back down and rub it again. If it doesn't stick, it's probably because it's not clean, or maybe your paint isn't dry, but just keep trying and it should work. So there were some words randomly broken, and I decided I would put those on different areas of the J. And if the word was cut through, like that top word, it's kind of hard to see, but it was cut at an angle. So I decided to put that cut part against one of the other florals, and it looks like it just goes behind the word. And I did the same thing right here with a piece of greenery that cut. I just put it behind where that little banner is. And I did that all over. I added different flowers and different words, and I did that on the sides of all of these as well. To seal this, I sprayed it with Rust-Oleum Ultra Cover 2 times in matte clear, and I think you can see now why I am so smitten with this transfer. This really does bring me a lot of joy. Project number 4. Remember these sweet little planters I made a few videos ago? I will leave links to those videos so you can see how I made them. They are super cute, and they sold very quickly from my booth. Full disclosure, my mother bought them, but somebody else would have because they're cute. I decided to do a Christmas one with this sweet little bird. I can't remember if I got it at Dollar Tree. No, Family Dollar or Dollar General, one of those. But you can find stuff like this all over the place. I would even check thrift stores. I started by cutting a wreath just on one side and then putting it around where I thought it would look pretty on this bird. And you can see I don't have it laid flat. I lifted it up whenever I got to a curved part and just laid it back down in the direction I thought it should be going. Sorry about Tilly barking. The dogs barked like 3 or 5 minutes ago at a car going by, and she's like, hey, wait, but I went in on this, and she's a little deaf, so she can't see out the door. She has no idea what's going on, but she is going to protect us from nothing, apparently. All right, so I got this wreath on, and I just kept going, and my intention was to put a whole bunch of little transfers all over these guys. Well, I got these pretty holly stems on the wings, and I thought, okay, wait, maybe this is one of those times where I will like it better without more. Well, of course, I needed a little bit more. So I pulled back out my gold leaf rub and buff. To apply it, I'm using a brush that I cut the ends of the bristles off so that it would be a little bit more stiff. It's not super thin, but I was able to like put it on its side to get a good line that wasn't too thick. And I put a line around the wings, excluding the part where the wing attaches to the bird. If it was a real bird at the top, I added just a little dot on each eye. And I did the outside of the tail feathers, and also I did the beak. And after I got done with that line, I took the brush and put the flat end of it where I had cut it, and I just kind of brushed the gold inward and made it blend. There's also this part around the bottom of the bird that's like there's no porcelain there. It's kind of a rough surface. I'm sure it has something to do with having water in it for being a planter. Well, I'm not sure. That's just a guess. And I put it down there too. And if I got any gold where I didn't want it, I just rubbed it off. If you rub it off quick, it comes off. But you got to be quick about it because this stuff dries pretty darned well. My mama told me, your brother gave me a start from his place in Hawaii, and I have the prettiest plant you could put in there. You should bring it over and I'll give that to you. And I thought, that's a ploy. She just wants my pretty little bird planter. Of course, I'll give it to her. But you know what she does when I give her stuff? She takes it to my shop and she tells them, I'm buying this from this booth, so I need you to take my money. I'm like, Mom, stop. She does so much for me. And I just want to try to give her some things to help repay her, which will never, ever happen because she's done so much for me. I can never repay that, even with this bird. Project number 5. This is another one of those beautiful designs from the transfer book called Clementine. And I'm putting it on drop cloth that I washed with my regular laundry. I did nothing special to it. I am putting it on a hem. The part at the bottom of the screen where you can't see is a hem, and that's actually going to be the top of what this is going to be used for. If you don't like wrinkles, this is again something you might not want to do because, or not wrinkles, but cracks. This is going to crack on fabric. If you stretch out your fabric, when it shrinks back up, it's still going to crack. So I'm not sure how to get away from that. If any of y'all know, please share. By all means, tell us how to put transfers on fabric and not have it crack. I'm using some upholstery tacks to put it on the shutter. And I bought these at Lowe's. I think they were like $1 or $2 for 2 dozen. They're really cute. They have little daisies on them. At the bottom, I folded the fabric over so that it would be tighter down there. And that's the top on this shot because I don't know why. It's how I filmed it. It's what it is. I did go back and put some more of those tacks in between in those wide spaces. I just felt like it needed a little bit more. This is another transfer from the same book, and I'm just cutting out the words, and I took the frame of flowers and fruit and I cut the bottom off, and then on the top I cut off the middle. There was a little butterfly and I cut him off, and then I cut it straight down the middle. And right here I'm showing you how I went over the edge and pushed the transfer up against the side, and then I went on the next flat part, so it's like a stair step. I wanted it to go over the sides like it naturally would if fruit could flow over the sides of a shutter, I guess. Yeah, maybe that's not natural, but anyway, you get the gist of what I'm saying. I took the bottom piece from the original page that I'm working with, and it had a scroll all along it. I didn't think that would look right on the top because I would have to put it upside down. I just didn't think it would fit, so I cut the fruit and the flowers off of that. There's a couple of awkward spots where it's cut straight across a piece of fruit or a leaf. So I fixed that by taking that original butterfly and I just put it right over that part. I was amazed at how perfectly this fits. See up there on the right, that little piece of scroll? I just cut that off and it was like this piece was made for the shutter. It looks so cute. Originally, I planned on adding a fake Christmas tree to this, but it is still 93 degrees here in South Carolina, and I'm not going in the attic of my she shack. So I put some artificial flowers in it and some of that greenery I found while dumpster diving, and I think this is perfect. Don't you? Whenever I get to this part of the video, I always feel like I'm supposed to change out of my cardigan into my coat and put my shoes on and take off my slippers and tell y'all I'm so glad we had this time together, but I don't have anything like that for you. All I have is thank you so much for coming to watch my video, and all you new peeps, thank you. I'm so glad you found us. My followers, subscribers, whatever you call them, they're awesome. I have a great group here. They pray for each other, they laugh with each other, they tell me what to do, and if they're mean, then they tell that person not to be mean. It's a great group, and I hope you will consider subscribing so you won't miss out on any of that. Until you see me in my next Christmas video, and yes, it's going to be a Christmas video even though it's 93 degrees in August here. I can't help it. I love this stuff. This is the best release ever. Until then, I hope you have a wonderful week, and as always, I hope you are blessed. Bye.